All right, so this is Unit 1, Worksheet 4B, 2 argument functions. So if you remember, circle had 3 arguments, right? So that came with size, whether or not it's solid or outline, and the last one was color. All right, so circle was 3 arguments. All right, then the square area that you did had 1 argument, and the number of arguments inside the parentheses determines how many argument functions there are, right? So now what we're going to do is a 2 argument function. So we're going to draw a rectangle with sides of length 2 centimeters and 3 centimeters. So again, from the previous worksheet, it doesn't have to be perfectly 2 centimeters and 3 centimeters. Okay. And now we are going to determine the perimeter of the rectangle. So like the square, we added up the sides. And so now we are going to add up the sides of this rectangle. So the perimeter is going to equal the short sides plus the long sides. And so we have 2 plus 2 is going to be 4 centimeters. And we have 3 plus 3 is 6 centimeters. And together that's going to be 10. And what you want to do is show your work. All right, so that is for number 1 and 2. All right, now number 3, we're going to draw a rectangle with sides of length 1 centimeter and length 5 centimeters. And since it's asking again for the perimeter, we can just add up the sides. So we have the short sides plus the longer sides. And that's going to give us 2 centimeters plus 10 centimeters. We're going to end up with 12. Okay. And now we're going to draw a rectangle that has sides of length and width. Okay. So I randomly identified these ones as length and width. Right. And you can also identify it this way as length and width. It's really, it's going to be up to you as long as you remain consistent. Okay. So we're going to determine the perimeters. And so we are going to put all the short sides together and all the long sides together. Now, some of you might have learned the perimeter formula of 2L plus 2W. Okay, and that's not wrong. So we can do that also. But when we get into Pirate, you have to choose one or the other. All right, so you have to choose one or the other. You can't put both formulas into Pirate. All right, so let's go ahead and complete the design recipe. And so the purpose of this function is to compute the perimeter of a rectangle. All right. And so again, I want to remind you that each section should get a hashtag in front of it, okay? So the inputs of our function, so in our input machine, right? So we'll draw very rough function machine. And our inputs were length and width, right? And so our perimeter equation would happen to be L plus W plus W. And it's going to output the perimeter. Okay, so our input were length and width, and our output is going to be perimeter. So the inputs were length and width. And the units of our functions were in centimeters. And the output was a perimeter. And the unit of the output was going to be centimeters. All right, so now this section is the contract and purpose statement. The function name for this section is going to be rec-per. And remember that there is going to be a space right here. Okay, when there's a break in the line, there's a space. Okay, and the data type. So the data type of our first input is going to be a number. And the data type of our second input is also going to be a number. So our first input was a number, and our second input is also a number. And lastly, our output will be perimeter, which has a data type number. And remember, data types are always capitalized. Okay. Now, what does this function do? So the rec-per function consumes length and width and produces the perimeter of a rectangle. What? Sorry about that. Okay, so now we are going to write our examples. And so one of our examples was the first one, right? One of our first examples was 2 and 3. So the first number was 2, the last number was 3. And the way the easiest we can do this is 2 plus 2, which is our short side, plus our long side. And so we're just adding up all the sides of this rectangle, right? And now we are going to do the rec-per, which is the name of our function. And our example inputs, now we can do 1 and 5, which is the example that was given to us, or we could do other numbers, okay? Maybe we could do 7 and 13, okay? So we're going to put 7, our short sides first together, and then our long sides. Okay, so we're just going to do 7 plus 7 plus 13 plus 13. And then don't forget to type in the end when you do this into Pirate. All right, so now our last section, the function definition. All right, so we have rec-per, a little length, or a big L, comma, width. And so since we already have a big L here, we are going to use a capitalized L when we write out our equations and a capitalized W when we write out our equations. All right, so stick around and we are going to go ahead and do the typing into Pirate section. All right, so this is Pirate, and I just opened up a new window. All right, so this is code.pirate.org, and what we're going to do is type in all our sections, okay? And so we're going to first type in the contract and purpose statement. And in this contract and purpose statement, we are going to include the function name, and space, right? And capital N because our data types are capitalized. And the reason why we're putting in 2 numbers here is because we have 2 inputs. And then our output is just going to be 1 number, and it's going to be perimeter. And so we are reminding Pirate and ourselves that the rec-per function consumes length and width, and if you want to be fancy, you can probably capitalize that, length and width, and produces the perimeter of a rectangle. All right, and so now the examples that we're going to write. So the example section needs an example title. Okay, and then rec per, no space, 2, 3 is 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. And so that's our first example, and I just went ahead and put that all in the same line. And our next one is rec per, and I think the sample that I've used was 7, 13. It is 7 plus 13 plus 13. And just for fun, because I have the shorter number or the smaller number in front, I'm going to go ahead and reverse it. I'm going to put the larger number in front and the smaller number second. Okay, and I just want to see if this creates any errors. And you can try maybe trying out different combinations of numbers and in the order of where you put the calculations. All right, so this is going to be the function definition block. Okay, and then in the function definition block, you want to make sure that you have the fun command, which is the pirate's clue that you're about to start writing about a function, the function name, its inputs, and the way we calculate them. Let's go ahead and run it. And all 3 tests in this block passed. So what I want you to do is go ahead and try running your program on your own now.